On today's podcast, I had Brandon from Investment Joy, and we talked about a whole bunch of side hustles that you probably have never even heard of. A couple of them include vending machines, ATMs, car washes, and a whole bunch of others that he's actually doing and making money on every single week, like tens of thousands of dollars. So if you want to learn how he's doing it and how you could potentially get started in these side hustles, you'll want to watch all the way to the end of this episode. Now, let's jump into it.
Are you looking to grow your real estate investing business? My company, Future Flipper, can help. We've taught hundreds of people all over the country how to flip, wholesale, and buy rental properties. And it doesn't matter where you're at in your investing journey. Whether you're trying to get your first deal or scale your company, Future Flipper can help. We have courses, coaching, and events for all levels of investors. So if you want to take the next step, go to futureflipper.com and book a free consultation to see how we can best help you. Once again, that's futureflipper.com. If you've ever wanted to invest with me on my real estate deals, it's now possible. At Pineda Capital, we're purchasing value-add real estate all across the country. This includes multifamily, commercial, and land development. The best part is, with my network, social media presence, and marketing strategies, we're able to get the very best deals that others don't have access to. You can join in with me on those deals if you're an accredited investor. If you want to learn more, head over to pinedacapital.com to see our current opportunities. Once again, that's pinedacapital.com. Welcome to the Ryan Pineda Show, where our mission is to invest,
I only expect to make money in things that I understand.
innovate,
It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past.
and inspire.
I am much more likely to hit my goal just due to putting it out there.
You're now rocking with the best.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Pineda Show. Today, I've got a lot of side hustles, and I've talked to people with different side hustles, but this dude, he might have me beat. He's got side hustles like crazy. I'm going to have to definitely get him on as a guest for Flip Nation with everything he's got going. It's all the way from vending machines to car washes to trailer parks to, other things I can't even think about right now because he told me he don't even know how many businesses he has.
Yeah,
so
I forget.
Yeah. I got my man Brandon from the YouTube and TikTok channel Investment Joy. He's got millions of followers and subs and everything, man. So happy to have you, dude.
I am happy to be here. I have heard a lot about you, and I'm excited to be here. I told you earlier, just before we started filming, that I have like 20 messages about you saying, "Why have we not connected? Why have I not flown out to meet you?" And here I am,
Dude.
by random happy chance.
That's so funny.
Sitting here in front of the mastermind here.
You know what's funny is I don't consider myself to be like this super big guy. And then like I'm here at FinCon where we're all at. They're like, "Dude, we love your stuff." And I'm like, maybe I'm just like a big guy amongst finance people. I don't know.
It's odd. The influence game's so odd because I met a guy last night and I'm like, "I follow you on TikTok." And he has 3.5 million followers.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I've been following you." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, I've been following you since like 2 weeks after you were on." I'm like, "I've been following you like a week after I was on." It's just odd, these odd connections inside the world of social media. And it's like, "Oh yeah, I've watched plenty of your stuff." And I've watched other people that have just ascended. I've done videos with like 4 videos with Meet Kevin. I was on the Graham Stephan show, and it was 2 years ago when Meet Kevin and I were within like 10,000 subscribers of each other. We're like neck and neck. And now we ran for governor of California.
Yeah.
It's just an odd environment, all this stuff, the way it all works.
It is weird, man, because everyone's lives change really fast from social media.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Super crazy. So, for you, you also, I forgot to mention, you own over 100 real estate units as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, dude, very few times do I meet somebody who's just as crazy as me.
That's
and
good.
You fit the bill, dude. So tell me a little bit about where your businesses are today. Get like if you forget one, I won't blame you.
Okay. Sure. So, I got a real estate company. We've been buying rentals since 2013. Since then, I've acquired 100. As of today, it's 138 doors. There's like 31 single family detached. There's 46 trailer lots. We've got like 10 lots that don't have trailers on them yet. Got a warehouse. I've got 2 commercial laundromats. I've got 2 car washes. I've got 38 storage locker units. That's not including my total doors. And then whatever that subsequent number, it's like 52 or 56 units. Those are my multifamily, and they're broken up between, got like 12 duplexes, a triplex, a couple quads, and a couple 5 and 6 unit apartment complexes.
Man, my brain just melted. So you got a lot going on. With, I guess, all of it, dude. Like, I just want to hear from the beginning. Like, how did it transition into this? Because I've told my story about how I went from one thing to the next. I never planned it. I didn't want to.
I don't think anybody can.
Yeah. So, like, what was... I don't know. Just start from the beginning.
The elevator pitch of Brandon's life. So I have lived within 6 miles of where I was born in Southern Ohio. I come from a little town called Circleville, and I've just lived there my whole entire life. I grew up kind of poorish. My dad was a truck driver. My mom sold Avon, which is a cosmetic MLM type deal. And we were just pretty dang poor growing up. Grew up kind of in the middle of a cornfield. My parents always rented our houses. We got evicted twice between me being born and 18 years old. Shortly after I turned 18, my dad had a heart attack. And at that specific point, he quit driving truck. He was working at Walmart, which he probably made more money doing that than driving a truck. And he had a heart attack. And I was 18, kind of thinking, maybe I want to go to college. Maybe I'll try and figure out what my career thing is. Just graduated. He had this heart attack. Didn't have much of an option. I had to go work at a warehouse in Groveport, Ohio. It was like an Amazon warehouse before there was an Amazon warehouse. Worked there for a few years, and I thought, I still know what I'm going to do with my life, but I know that I can't work in a warehouse and ever get married and have a family. So I thought, I see that every real estate agent where I live drives a Cadillac. And I thought, well, if they all drive Cadillacs, they must be rich. So I'm just going to go get my real estate license. So I took some time off, vacation time from the warehouse, and I went and got a real estate license. And then I got into real estate, and I thought, oh man, I'm going to be rich. And I started talking to all the real estate agents that was in my county, and I found they were all broke or in debt. And, the nice suit, the house they were in, the Cadillac, they were up to their eyeballs in debt.
Right.
Very few of the real estate agents were like wealthy. But I started selling properties to guys that were wealthy. And, when you have a agent-client relationship in real estate, you start talking money and finance. And I had a couple guys show up, and they said, I want to buy a property. And I said, okay, we'll have to take you to bank, blah, 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 the normal real estate stuff.
Yeah.
And they said, I'm paying cash for it. I'm like, how do you buy a $500,000 property with cash? And like, because I own real estate, and I just bought it and flipped it, blah, 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 blah. And, it's just one of those odd things. I didn't feel like these people were extravagantly smart. They just bought some investment properties. They held them for a period of time, and they sold them for significantly more than they paid for them. I thought, well, I don't need to do the real estate agent thing. I need to be an investor. And it took me from about 2007, 2008, a couple years after I got my license, till 2013 in order to figure out, how do I get financing? How do I approach investors? How do I get money to start buying rentals? And so since 2013, it's just been scaling. In between 2006 and me getting a license, and then I got into some online media stuff as far as like search engine optimization goes, affiliate sales. So I've dabbled in all those fields on and off being a real estate agent. And now with my social media following and everything like that, that's all played into my investment deal. And so I just started with the first unit July 2013, and as of now I've got the 138 plus the businesses.
So let's talk about that. You start off as an agent, and you realize, dude, the agents ain't where it's at, right?
At least in Ohio, they're all broke.
I mean, in Vegas, same deal, man. I mean, you'd be surprised how many houses the top agents own. Not many. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
But I had the same path. I got out of being an agent. I'm like, this ain't for me. Like, I want to be the investor. Mm-hmm. And so you end up buying that first one. You start buying a bunch more as time goes on. How did you end up getting these other things? Like, what was the next one?
Like, at some point, I remember when I like the time metric on it, but at some point, I was like, I'm pretty good at buying rentals. I'm getting kind of bored with this. I'm going to need to find something else. And my buddy and I, the laundromat that I do all these YouTube videos on, we talked to a wholesaler and this wholesaler had that laundromat for sale back in like 2017, maybe 2018.
How much was it?
At that time, he had it. He was trying to flip a contract for $50,000 on it.
For a laundromat, 50
For
grand.
$50,000 for the laundromat with 2 apartments and a nice garage that's in the back.
Like
of the property.
actual real estate was 50 grand plus a business.
Yes, plus the business, plus 2 apartments. And I'm like, we can make the money off the laundromat with the apartments. And I'm like, I'll cash flow on it. Who cares what the laundromat does? I'm like, I can try to see if I can make money on laundromat. And like everybody's always wondered, like vending machines, laundromats, car washes. I think like everybody in America's thought, oh man, if I had a cash operating business, I could not only make cash, but I could cheat the IRS on taxes. Yeah, because everybody's had that thought. If everybody be honest, everybody's thought about that. But for most people, just as a thought, and as you know, I'd been in real estate buying rentals for like 5 or 6 years at that point. I'm like, I'll make money on the apartments. Who cares about the laundromat? But I'm like, I want to try this out and see if it works. We offered 45 grand for that place. A guy came in, he bought it out from under us. He offered the seller $55,000 on it. Went around the wholesaler, convinced the lady that owned it to sell it to him. He beat her down on the inspection, got the laundromat for $35K.
Wow.
Runs it into the. He doesn't run into the ground. He gave it to like a family member to run.
Did anyone try to sue that guy, dude? Yeah. I'd have been all over that fool, but go on.
Yeah. Southern Ohio, small town. Not doing that. But so we go back and he runs it into the ground and I approach him. I'm like, you want to sell this place? He's like, yes, I need to sell this place. I'm like, you want to sell or finance it? I'm like, I'll make sure that you actually make money off this deal, but you're going to lose your shirt if I don't buy it. And so he said, you know what? I'll give it to you for $85K, $15K down. And then we'll do a 20-year amortization note with a 5-year balloon and 5% interest-ish. I was like, oh, this is cool. And I'm like, but I don't want to spend any money on this. Because when we talked to the wholesaler, I was going to have a buddy of mine. We were going to partner on the deal. I'm like, but I don't want to spend any money on it. So I called a guy, one of my investors. I said, you want to own a laundromat with me? And they're like, just tell me how much money I need. So I was like, I want, 50 grand. We'll fix it up, 15K down, put 35K in it. And so they were like, I'll wire the funds tomorrow. So then we closed on this laundromat and started shooting content on it. The content went viral and
you started, that was like in 2017?
That specific laundromat I ended up closing on it after it went through the hands of the guy that bought it off the wholesaler. That process, we tried to buy in 2017. I ended up buying it from the other guy that bought it, the intermediary guy, in April 2019, I think it was. Okay. So a couple of years had transpired between me wanting it and me ended up getting it. I ended up buying 2 other laundromats I do no content on because they're absolute dumps. Because I
feel bad showing that I own these.
Yeah, so we did a full due diligence period on the laundromat my YouTube's on, and I was like, that lady was making like $8 grand a month off the location.
Wow.
More money than I'm making now. But there's a whole lot of things as to why she was making $8,000 off of it a month. And,
like what? What was she doing?
There is a
drug deals, like
200 unit apartment complex right next to it, and it's government housing, and they had no washers and dryers, so they had a captive audience of 200 households with no way to do laundry. Well, in between the guy that owned it before me and the guy owning it before me and me taking it over, he ran it so poorly that the government housing put washers and dryers in because the laundromat was so bad. It was so bad, and it was closed down all the time. All the equipment was breaking and stuff, and so the government put in 20 washers and dryers. But as it is now, I'm taking all their people away from them. So we're building that back, and I think I'm on track to do like $6,500 this month on that laundromat that I do on.
That's net cash flow.
It'll be $6,500 gross. My net take on that's probably going to be around $3 grand.
Wow.
It's about $3 grand a month, and then I do all the YouTube videos and stuff on it, and it's just
the content's worth it.
The content's absolutely worth it, but I am to a point now with the laundromat. I go, I get money out of the machines, I shoot my content, and I leave. The rest of the whole process right now is automated. I spend an hour a week tops doing that. So now, from a times perspective, I spend 1 hour a month. Or 1 hour a week, 4 hours a month. I spend 4 hours. I make $3,500. I think I can take it up to 10 grand a month gross. I think I can make 6 grand a month net off the location for 4 hours a month, and I get the social media stuff off of it, and I can document the numbers because I like talking about the gory math behind it and how we make money and we lose money. So 4 hours a month, I'll do that.
Yeah.
If God forbid I have to outsource it to somebody to collect my money, I can find somebody I trust to do that.
Yeah.
But it's just like that, and then that's kind of the same play with my car washes. The car washes are just like that, but at a order of magnitude better. And we bought them cheap. making.
So tell me about the car washes. When was the first one you bought? How much?
We bought 2 in, February, last part of January this year, 2021. 675. We put 675K. We put 41.5K down. We got the seller on a 20-year note, 3% interest.
Dude, I just got to say, you're like Rainman with the numbers, dude.
I quote these numbers to people all the time. So
I can't remember how much I paid for my first deal, to be honest. I can't remember anything. I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, we crushed it. It was cool.
Yeah. I like talking the numbers because I've had guys that have gone through like MBA college level programs and like, we never talk about this. We talk about all the like high society
macro.
math, like the stuff, and has no impact on it. I failed math in school. And I'm like,
I find that hard to believe.
Like, I was like a D average. I got in real estate, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can make all this money off learning about it. Yeah. So I figured out how to run a spreadsheet. And now I'm like, okay, as long as I can figure out how to put it in a spreadsheet, I can do all the math, I can calculate the numbers. And I find that if I can sit down there and talk to a guy, and we're negotiating a car wash deal right now, and he's like, no, I want $600,000. I said, if I can structure this deal to where I only pay $500,000, but I save you on taxes, but your net cash amount's going to be the same, would you be okay with $500,000? I guess so. He's like,
I don't really know what you're
like,
talking about.
Oh yeah, I pulled that one on the guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'd like to see how you structure this, and I kind of break it down. He's gonna have to pay depreciation, recaption. That's going to be around 28%. We can tweak some things on the contract so he avoids depreciation, recapture, all this different stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, let's do $500,000. I'm like, and I told my business partner is standing next to me. He's grinning. And we walk away from the deal, and he's like, you just saved us $100,000. I'm like, yeah, shut up. Let's get in the car before you get really excited about me saving you $100,000 in 5 minutes on the deal. And we should be closing on that car. I think we'll be closing soon on it, but
nice.
Who knows?
Yeah. So tell me about the economics of the car wash.
They're everywhere. We've been able to buy these 2. We're negotiating 2 more deals right now. They're cash generators like laundromats, but from my perspective, they're easier to make even bigger. Because you think about the laundromat industry, for better or worse, it's declining. I think that you're going to see a lot of Ubers for laundry soon, where you're just going to show up to people's houses.
Dude, I would love that.
You're going to pull everybody's laundry out. You're going to have branded boxes. You're going to take it to a laundromat because you can't really do it in your house. You need the commercial equipment that only a laundromat has, and then you're going to wash, dry, fold. You're going to deliver it back to the house, and you're going to charge people $50 a month. So I think that at some point laundromats are going to be on the increase in scale. I talked to one guy that has one laundromat, and he's making $75,000 a month off it. One location, dumpy little laundromat. It's about the same size as what I have.
Wow.
And he's doing that. I'm like, okay, so I see where I can scale this with a laundromat, but industry wide. Over the past 10 years, laundromats have declined like 5.5%. Car washes, on the other hand, in the past 10 years have increased 12%. And this year, 2021, they expect that car washes are probably going to increase like 3%. One of the best years we've had in the car wash industry in years. It's like it's growing because as people buy newer, nicer cars, they want to maintain them better. And car wash chemicals, the chemistry of it's getting better every year. So now you've got glass type ceramic coatings you can apply to a car. Just some really great technologies coming out in car washes. And you're like, okay, I can increase my pricing. I can make more money by instituting these different things and these business process improvements. We like our car washes. We've cut one of our biggest costs is water, and we've decreased water usage since we took it over by 35%. If your main cost on a business is 20% of your revenue coming in has to go to water supply, and you cut that by 35%, now you're down like 14-15%. Like, I just made $1,000, and we implemented a strategy with a car wash that cost us $6.
Wow.
We went through. It took us 2 hours, $6. We're saving about $1,000 a month per location.
Yeah.
It's just incredible the amount of money we're saving right now.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. I've always, it's funny. I see these car washes coming up like all the time in Vegas, like brand new ones.
Yeah.
They're not buying, like, to me, I'm like, man, are people just using these to money launder? Like, what's the deal?
Oh, I'm absolutely sure they are.
Yeah, what I always thought.
I always get the mob people, like, what mob are you associated with? I'm like, I ask mob stories to people all the time in laundromats. And I've talked to one of like the largest laundromat guys in the United States. He said, I've only run into one mob laundromat in the entire United States. He's like been in 2,000 laundromats. Like, really? He's like, yeah, it's not much of a thing. And it's like, if you want to launder money, you do something else.
Right.
Yeah. And it's what's happening with these car wash chains there are car wash operators, and they're called express tunnels, and they're going in, they're building a $5 million car wash facility, and the high operating ones on a $5 to $7 million facility, land excluded, they're pulling in $1 million a month gross per location. And you start thinking $1 million a month per location, like, yeah, and they've got a 40% margin on it, so they're pulling in $400,000 a month net in their pocket on a $5 million investment. Some serious money. And you have like 20 guys that do that in the United States with express tunnels. So then everybody and their brother that can put together a $5 million deal, they're building one. And what's going to happen is they're going to overbuild them.
Yep.
And then there's going to be a collapse, because that's what happened with all the automatics and self-serves 30 years ago. Everybody was hearing, oh, they make $1,000 a month per bay in quarters. I'm going to do that too. When, the cost of building everything was cheaper, and now they're all run down. The second generation is starting to take them over. No one wants to do the maintenance and fixing them up, so they're just falling apart.
Yeah.
I had a package of documents in my mailbox right before I came here, like 2 days ago, before I got on the plane, and it was in my mailbox as a car wash, laundromat, dry cleaner, and like the basic revenue versus purchase price is in the 50%. They're bringing in $300,000 a year. They want me to buy it for $600,000. But you look at it, and most investors say $300,000 gross. Half of that's net, $150,000 net on a $600,000 deal. I'll take that. Everybody would take it. I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
The building's going to fall down in 2 years.
Right.
The dry cleaning equipment's from the 60s.
Yeah.
So it's like there's about $1 million capital expenditure bucket that I'm going to have to build out if I want to develop this location.
Yeah.
And I have no clue whether I'm going to do it or not.
Yeah. One thing I think about is you said you think there's going to be a collapse with all these express
Absolutely.
washes. And they're popping up everywhere, because anytime there's a new business that is a cash cow, right? That first mover, they kill it, they have fun. Then everyone else starts moving in. They start cannibalizing each other. Not only in price, but in customers, because it is a zero-sum game at the end of the day for that. And it's funny, man. My one of my friends, AJ Osborne, he's been on the podcast. He's a self-storage guy. He owns, I forgot the statistic. It was like 2 million square feet.
Oh, that's insane.
Of self-storage. I was like,
that's a lot more than me.
It's a lot. And he wrote a book on it. And one thing he wrote was like, look, if you are going to buy self-storage, you have to do your research on what other ones are around you, because, man, if it's overbuilt, you're screwed.
Yeah. And that can happen in rentals. There's so much of a housing shortage right now because there was underbuilding during the collapse and afterwards. And we're kind of on this cycle that they overbuilt right before the crash, and then it dipped down, and then they weren't building supply nationwide. And now there was demand, because the demand for property is constant, whether it's rentals or new builds. And it just kind of dipped down, and now we need more. There's not enough supply, so it's on that supply and demand curve. And eventually they'll overbuild again. But it's in so many different industries. Whether you're talking social media, it's like you get on YouTube, and 5 years ago everybody was doing reaction videos, and then they overdid reaction videos, and now they're starting to kind of come back, and I'm seeing some reaction video channels. And it's just it's cyclical for everything. And I feel like with these rundown, self-serve, automatic in-bay car washes, that there's an opportunity to do it. And the ones that we're looking at, if we can get them for the right price and have some money set back for repairs and a systemization plan, it's like, we can make decent money on it. We're not making $1 million a month per location, but it's like, if I could buy a location.
Did I miss the boat to go build the express wash, you think?
Yes.
I missed it already.
I'm sorry. You need to buy them as they start failing. Give it like 3 to 5 years, and I think you're going to see a lot of them overbuilt. Yeah, because what they're doing is there's going to be a race to the bottom, because so many of them
are monthly subscriptions.
Yeah. At some point, something's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen to cause it to collapse. If it's just going to be purely overbuild, or there's going to be like
it's a race to the bottom,
a soap shortage or something something's going to happen.
Well, here in Vegas, or I'm not here in Vegas, I'm in Austin right now, but in Vegas, I mean, we got a huge water shortage.
Yes. And that will probably do it in a lot of Western states. But I think whenever the pendulum swings the other way, it's not going to be like in Las Vegas or California or here in Austin. There's a lot of water. I've run into the water people down here too. And like water shortages, and the car washes aren't going to get water allocated to them.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh, we're going to have a problem. And like, it'll start a domino and it'll just wipe a lot of places out. But for me, with my operations, what happens to them doesn't really affect me because they have to hire employees. I need one guy a day to dump trash. That's all the maintenance that I have to deal with as someone going in and dealing with trash.
Yeah.
And we're pretty close. We've got some ideas to automate that whole trash process.
Yeah.
So then literally we don't do anything.
Yeah. So I'm really interested in the car wash biz because I've seen it many times. And like you said, I've got my fund, Pineda Capital. And I think at some point when we see that the opportunity to strike on these express ones is there, I'll for sure be raising money to go buy them up.
Yeah. And it's like everything. It's like
Yeah.
I knew guys that operated funds back during the mortgage crisis, and I ran into a guy that bought like $1 million of paper for $1 billion face value paper for $50 million.
Yeah.
And then he just flipped it for
He
like
killed it.
$500 million.
Yeah, dude. I can't wait to do like, I raised money and we bought a $20 million apartment complex. That was fun
That's
to do.
insane. That's amazing.
Yeah, and now I'm like, man, to hear stuff like that, it's like, yo, if I raise $50 million to go buy $1 billion of paper, that'd be sick. It'll happen one day.
It could be with real estate paper, but I talk to guys, they're sitting on the edge of their seat because they are convinced that auto paper is going to collapse.
I've heard that a lot.
They're like, they are waiting for the whatever they're waiting for the pin to drop.
Yeah, there's
on
a ton
auto
of
paper.
bad
Oh my
loans
gosh!
right now.
And I've been talking to guys that on the back end, they are convinced that some of these auto operators, they're financing their real estate with auto paper right now because some of these big car dealerships, they're getting like 1% over the federal overnight rate, which is like they're getting loans for like 2%.
Yeah.
But they have to flip the paper every 30 or 45, 60 days, 90 days.
Right.
I don't understand exactly how it works, but I've run into these car dealerships that somehow they got access to $100 million plus for real estate acquisitions.
Yeah.
Like, how does a car dealership that's not moving cars get enough money to buy all of the stuff?
Yeah.
And like all these parcels.
And there's no
they
cars
build out.
to sell.
And there's no cars to sell, and they're everything like that. And I talked to one of these guys in Southern Ohio I trust. He said, Brandon, they're doing it with auto paper.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that would do it. If
That
you
makes
had
sense.
if you could fudge the numbers and you got like a big dealership and you got $500 million in cars sitting in between all your lots and you want to finance an extra $100 million, you're talking about increasing the size of your paper by 20%.
Yeah.
It's not that much. And if you think about if you're in a hot area and you think that real estate is going to appreciate 10% in value, but you can get access to capital and no one's going to ask a question at 2%, kind of makes sense, but it's a dangerous game to play, and I think that we're going to see a collapse, and maybe an auto paper collapse is what's going to start triggering a real estate collapse or commercial real estate collapse because there's going to just be a domino effect in between multiple commercial markets, commercial effect residential.
Yeah.
Because everybody looks at the mortgage crisis happened in 08, 09. They forget the savings and loan crisis back in the 80s.
Yeah.
That started purely with commercial paper because
Yeah.
they started calling notes in. And then the commercial collapse triggered a decent, wasn't as bad as the commercial collapse, but there's a lot of markets that lost 10% in 1 year back in 88, 89
Yeah.
due to commercial paper collapsing.
Yeah.
And it could be an auto this time. I don't know. But
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because the auto industry is really crazy right now. I want to talk a little bit about vending machines, but before
Sure.
we do that, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor.
Have you ever wanted to invest in real estate, but you didn't have the time to find deals yourself? That's where Fundrise comes in. Fundrise is a crowdfunding platform that has transacted over $5 billion in real estate and has over 150,000 active investors. While many funds, like my own, require accredited investors, Fundrise allows anyone to invest with as little as $500. If you'd like to learn more, check out fundrise.com. Once again, that's fundrise.com. Are you looking to find off-market real estate deals? One of the best tools my team uses is batch leads. With batch leads, you're able to pull data, manage lists, and send text messages. On top of that, you can get nationwide access to the MLS to get pictures and comps. My team has used batch leads to get some of our best deals, so I know it works. If you want to start today, you can get half off your first month by going to batchleads.io and using the promo code Ryan. Once again, that's batchleads.io, promo code Ryan for half off your first month. Now, back to the show.
So tell me about the vending machine business, man, because I see these TikTokers hopping in the vending machines, getting all this money. And in my mind, I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like, you know, you go buy a vending machine or even an ATM. Do you have an ATM?
I have an ATM in my laundromat, but I don't own it because I just don't want to deal with the upkeep and maintenance.
You just get a piece of
I get
everything.
a 50% cut, and I haven't got a cut in 1 year. And I called the guy right before I came to Austin. I'm like, can you get me a documentation on how much I made? Because I know that the ATM's probably generating, they charge $250 per transaction.
Yeah.
I think we're probably doing 100 transactions at the laundromat a month.
Yeah.
So the guy that owns it's making $250 a month off just that ATM location.
Yeah.
And then I got the coin pusher gambling-ish machine. That one makes a crap ton of money.
A lot more people that want to gamble.
Yeah,
Use the
and
ATM.
it's like it's a quarter gamble machine, and you're going to make $1 off of it. It's like less than a scratch off ticket.
Yeah.
And they're kind of a legal gray area in the state of Ohio, and like some people say they're illegal, and I've got a pretty good case why they're not. And it's like a lot of people don't
Hey,
want
the
to
gray
get.
areas, that's where I live. So the vending machines, man, I look at them and I see these TikToks and I say, man, like
Insane.
what's up with these, man? For me, it's not worth my time, I don't think.
No.
But okay.
Someone like your caliber, of course not.
but prove me like why it's a good side hustle.
It's not even worth my time. Let's be honest. It's not worth
It's worth your content.
It's not worth my time if I wasn't producing content.
Okay,
because
so how does it work? What do
I've
they
got like
make?
3 drink machines. The one in front of my laundromat right now is on pace to do $1,000 this month in gross sales. My cost of the drinks is about 30 cents a can. So my gross, of the 1,000 that comes in, I'm going to spend $350 on restocking it. I'm going to spend maybe another $25 a month in everything else, repairs.
You make $500 on it.
I'll make about 600. Let's say $600 off
Okay.
that location. Now, the benefit that I have is I have a 6-hour-a-day girl at my laundromat. She stocks it for me. Going and getting the drinks, restocking the machine, doing all that stuff probably takes 3 hours a week. I just go in and once a week I get the money out of the machine. It takes like 5 minutes.
So a normal person, let's just say they would be spending, you know, call it 10 hours a month on this business.
On one machine.
Yeah.
And then
so they make $60 an hour.
It would be less than that with one machine. I'm making $600. They're probably not spending.
Oh,
they're probably not
that's
spending-
on all the machines.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I guess the long story short with vending is it has to be a scale issue. You have 100 vending machines and they're making like $400 a month net, and you're spending a 30-hour work week on it. Those numbers start to look really, really good. I've thrown out a bunch of numbers and I can't remember what I said, so I can't run the numbers in my head. But I've talked to some of the bigger vending machine guys, and they're making $100 to $150 an hour doing a vending machine business. But I run into some people that they have like 2 machines. They spend 5 hours a week trying to deal with them, and they're making putting in their pocket $100 a month, and it's just not worth it. But once you start building a scale to vending machines, then it starts making a lot of sense. I mean, yeah, statistically, you've got a chance that you're going to hit a really good location. I know guys that are pulling $2,500 a month per vending machine. in some
So like
locations.
your vending machines are in your laundromats, so you
Yes.
don't have to pay rent or
No.
split. So what would you do if you're a normal person? I'd be like, yo, freaking Ryan, you got this cool spot. Let me throw a vending machine in there. I'll split profit.
It depends on your negotiating skills. You know just as well as I do in real estate, it's less about like, oh my gosh, this house is beautiful, or this house or this apartment complex, I could do something. It's mostly about building the deal out so it works.
Mm-hmm.
And with vending machines, it's just a microcosm of that. I know guys, there's a guy in Texas, real close to here. His name's Jaime Ibanez, and he's got like 200 and some vending machines, if memory serves me right. And he's one of those guys that's on social media and everybody sees vending machines. He doesn't pay any money whatsoever to anybody to place a vending machine.
Why?
Because
How does he get away with it?
He's got a sales process, and I've read his sales process. He cold emails people.
So I'm going to guess his sales process, being a sales guy, is just saying, hey, by me adding a vending machine, you're going to get more traffic to your existing business. I'm doing you a favor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what he does. And he closes a lot of sales. Has
Yeah,
200
I can see that
locations.
sell.
But
I love evaluating sales guys.
Yeah.
I just like, I already know exactly what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, I've got a couple locations that we're working on right now because I just want to go and place a vending machine. So, buddy, like, yeah, you can do it if you really want to. And so we just placed in a vending machine at one of my other laundromats just to see, can a vending machine under a bridge make any money? And it's making like probably $400.
Are these machines new, or are they just like
everything I buy is used? A new vending machine right now runs $5,000.
what's a used one? $500?
Yeah, $500-$600.
Yeah.
You have to be a little bit mechanically inclined to fix some of the bad parts on it, but you can YouTube.
None of them are digital. Like those old ones are just all mechanical.
Nah, there's a little bit of digital technology in there. It's not a lot, but
Because the new ones are all like credit cards and everything.
You can retrofit a machine from 1980 with credit cards.
Oh, okay.
I met a machine that was from 1980 and it was Wi-Fi enabled because you can go buy a screen, slap it on, have a EMV credit card reader, or you can do like tap to pay. I've been talking to a company. They're trying to sponsor some of my stuff out of Canada, and they're like, they've got the retrofit kit for any vending machine, and it's tap to pay, mobile pay, everything under the sun. It runs off cell phone coverage, and
Yeah.
it's nuts. It's just a retrofit kit for everything.
Wow.
So I mean, it's a decent size. The vending business is pretty decently sized.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of technology that you can implement, but you have to kind of make the decision.
So basically, what I'm hearing is the vending machine business, not for me. It's pretty boring.
Of course not.
It sucks.
No, you need to buy
The car wash business, though, once that collapses.
Yes. Or, yeah, you could put together a car wash fund. I've thought about doing a car wash and laundromat fund.
Yeah,
Anything like that.
laundromats too.
Yeah,
I do like the one thing you said about the Uber of laundromats. That excites me a lot because for sure, I've thought about this just with my current clothes. I'm like, dude, when I go get a dry cleaning, I hate dropping it off. I hate my tailor that I have to go there and get tailored. Like, why can't they come to me and like? I'm sure there are mobile tailors and stuff, but like it's not a huge thing yet. But for sure, laundry. There's no reason it does. Like, there's not a big go-to yet.
Yeah, and that's why I like one guy that does Uber for laundry. He's in one location. He has no desire to expand. Please, you show me his sales stats, $75K a month, and he does pick up dry cleaning too. And I'm like, man, that's a good business model. And I realized that in my location in Southern Ohio, where I got my laundromat, I'm not going to scale to $75,000 a month, but I bet you there's enough geographic demand with the demographics and everything. I bet you could do $35,000 a month off that location. I mean, yeah, I'm going to spend a lot of money on picking it up and delivering. And I don't know that's Uber, but there's a couple different rideshare apps, and they will just go and pick up stuff up for you.
Yeah, Uber should do that. Like
okay, maybe I'm...
No. I mean, I'm certain they've had to have thought about it.
Yeah.
You know, we're not the only guys to be like talking about this.
Yeah.
So I'd wonder why Uber isn't doing these services, because if you think about it, you don't have to even have the laundromat. Why can't Joe Schmo go drive and pick up laundry and do it himself at his house?
You could. But what's going to happen is you're going to find out really quick. That's why I like the laundromat infrastructure. Is what's going to happen is you're going to do like 500 loads of laundry on your residential machine, and it's going to explode. And the machines that I have in my laundromat, I've got one machine that's rated for 100,000 cycles.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's an expensive machine. It's a $12,000 single piece of equipment.
Wow.
But it will.
So you think it's not scalable?
For a home person, you could probably start it off that way, but I just don't think you could do it. I think you have to have the laundromat infrastructure.
But I mean, like, for somebody that wants to do a side hustle, like, let's just say,
absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna think this through. Me as the consumer, you know, I got a load of laundry. Let's just say it goes by the pound or something.
Yeah, that's the norm.
That's the norm. Okay, cool. So you go by the pound, and what's a typical by the pound price?
It's usually $1.50 per pound, and almost everybody requires a 10-pound minimum.
Okay, so you're like at $15, right? But for me to go pick it up and fold it and do it for you, we charge $50.
Yeah. So the guy that I actually saw his sales statistics, he was charging a 10-pound minimum, $15, $20 minimum surcharge. But it's like if you spent over $50 on laundry, he would waive all those costs because I think
he's making enough.
He's making enough, and his average ticket size was like $63 or $64 per person.
Because they're doing it in bulk.
They're doing it in bulk, and they're just saving up their laundry, and they just absolutely love it because they're not dealing with it anymore. And he's just absolutely making a killing on it. And he's about ready to close down all his other operations in a self-serve laundromat to only focus on Uber for laundry.
I like that because when I think about it, if you're going to get a big laundry size, you're probably going after families.
Yeah.
Then I think about my wife, mine, my kids. It's got to be way more than 10 pounds, right? Like,
oh, absolutely.
Like if I paid somebody $100 a week to do my laundry and it came back folded and rolling, bro, I'd be hyped.
Yeah. And if you think about the cost that you'd save with it, and then, you know what? We're a subscription service now. You're going to be $250 a month, and we're going to do unlimited laundry. We'll do all your laundry.
Dude, I would buy it today.
And if you think about how many subscription services are there that are $250 a month, maybe the roof over your head subscription service, maybe your electric subscription service to keep the lights on. I think $250 a month. That's a lot of money on a subscription ticket. These car washes, going back to the Express Tunnel deal, they're $20-$30 a month, and there's guys pulling $1 million a month on rebill subscriptions. So it's like, Uber for laundry could work, but it's like all these other harebrained ideas I have.
Well, I think when you look at this laundry service, there's two ways to go about it. The Uber for laundry is thinking about it, I think not really in the Uber way, just like a laundry on demand. Like you are the provider in your city, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
The Uber for laundry is empowering normal people to use their washer and dryer to go do it for people. So like to me, the Uber idea, if you could become it, is like, that's billions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't need you just create tech.
Yeah.
But the building side of it, like you said, if this guy has a subscription service, I'll pick up all your laundry, and you'd have maximums like, hey, you can only do it twice a week, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not coming every day.
Yeah.
But put as much laundry as you want in it, right?
Yeah.
That would be a good business, dude.
I think so, and that's on my list of things to do. I wish I need more time to create, and with my real estate business, I'm trying to outsource all my management, all my day-to-day operations, so I can work on these bigger projects like Uber for laundry, home pickup, and delivery. I got a couple other projects I'm working on right now.
My only fear with the tech side of Uber for laundry, is like, man, the quality control of your people that are like...
Yeah. All these people that I talk to, it's never on the wash, dry, fold side. It's never in processing the laundry. It's all in the driver.
Really?
They have problems with the drivers. Yeah. But I'm thinking,
there's a lot of liability too.
There
with,
is a
clothes.
lot, because I see these guys with branded panel trucks, really nice vans, and they're going and they have a full-time employee. They're on a W-2 and they're doing this whole thing, and they're paying corporate insurance rate. They monitor their driving policies. They do all that stuff. I'm like, why don't you just get Uber to do it? And they're like, but it doesn't have the brand recognition. I like people seeing my vans all over town.
Right.
I'm like, you can buy a truck. You could find somebody that's on a 1099 that has a drive-by advertising business, and I would bet between the liability and all those other costs, it would be cheaper to buy somebody with a drive-by advertising business than it would be to retain that employee.
Yeah. Well, and so for me, when I'm thinking about this, obviously that's like just a marketing thing, but the liability with the clothes, because like if I give you a whole bag full of clothes, right? How do I know, like where's the... Did you lose my clothes or not?
How many socks have you guys lost this time?
Well, and two, like, dude, what if you did a Louis Vuitton shirt, right?
Yeah. And there's insurance that I do believe that you can get for those kinds of things, because I run into the guys that have a $2,500 suit that need a dry clean, and it's gone. And I mean, those things happen, but I would say out of the concerns and the scared to death issues that I run into laundromat people that are doing drop off and home pickup and delivery for laundry, that's kind of like 10% of their complaints and their concerns. 90% of it's with the drivers,
right?
Or the off chance to get broken into, some of the other things.
Yeah,
probably not 90%.
Yeah. So you own a paper company too.
I own a newspaper. We bought out.
What are you, Jeff Bezos, buying the Washington Post?
I do not have that money. That would be awesome. Now I bought we bought and rebranded a newspaper in Southern Ohio. It was called I can't even think. Pickaway News Journal, I think it was called. It was a former editor of a newspaper. She left the newspaper and started her own newspaper. And I liked the brand. I'm like, I would like to be the reputable news source in Southern Ohio. So all these different crazy businesses I do, that I could just buy free ads. I mean, I own the company. I can just get local
You just
advertising.
put your ads in.
Yeah, I just put my own ads in. And that's kind of like, that was a branding play for me with the laundromats. Like, I can get infinite free ads. And because people, we have like 500,000 people who are following our content online in some way with our news agency.
Yeah.
Like, we compete on social media neck and neck with the Columbus Dispatch, which is one of the largest newspapers in Central Ohio. And we're talking Columbus with 3.5 million people. I'm in Southern Ohio with like 1 million or less.
Yeah.
And there's weeks I blow them out of the water. We compete on social media with like the ABC, NBC, CBS affiliate stations.
Wow.
It's nuts. And it's just like one of those things. I just like being the...
Can you say how much you had to pay to get a newspaper?
$5,000.
How do you buy a newspaper for $5,000 and get that much publicity?
No one wanted it.
Wow.
Newspapers are worthless. If you think of it, it's just the intellectual property and a mailing route, if one exists. The mailing route, anything.
Did you rebrand it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're called the Scioto Post. If anybody wants to get on, take a look at what our content is.
Yeah.
And
If you guys look through the ads, you're probably going to see a bunch of laundromats and vending
it's
machines.
gonna be awful.
and stuff.
These people are going to be advertise so much silly stuff in this conversation. You're going to get mad.
Hey, you know what's funny is, with this podcast, guess who half the ads are? They're my own companies.
Oh, cool.
You know?
Well, that's awesome.
I sponsor myself.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I'll say otherwise it's going to be a competing fund trying to take your fund people.
It's funny you mentioned that. So I have no problem saying this. So one of our sponsors is a competing fund. So
That's awesome. That's amazing.
But to me, it doesn't matter because they're doing non-accredited investors.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
mine is accredited because
Oh,
there's
okay.
more crowdsource and all that. So they're kind of two different things.
Yeah, I've gone through a Reg D filing.
Yeah.
It's very easy, relatively cheap. And I was talking to a company yesterday, and I was like, "Are you doing only accredited?" Like, yeah, like it's cheap. I'm like, yeah, you're right, it is. And they want to go through their Reg A crowdfunding, non-accredited.
Reg A is hard, dude.
And I said, yeah, I know it's more expensive. And the guy got real serious. He's like, $300,000. I'm like, really? Because I had a quote for 50. Who was it? $50,000. We would have paid it yesterday. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh crap. I don't want to throw out BS numbers to people, but when I was really seriously looking at doing a fund with like Reg A buying a bunch of cheap places in Southern Ohio, and I thought, man, I like the idea of crowdsourcing, but if I would sit down and calm down about it, the logistics of doing it are so much more weighty than they are.
They're
going after
harder,
credit.
and it's just the clientele's way harder.
Yes.
You just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. But if you're an accredited investor, then that's cool.
Yeah, and look, I mean, like these guys have a $1 billion plus company, so it's like they can deal with it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a
sure.
big
Why
deal.
not?
Yeah, for me, I can't deal with it.
Yeah. It makes total sense.
Well, dude, it's been a pleasure having you on,
I'm
man,
glad.
and watching your TikToks and those types of things, man. You're killing the game. So, guys, if you're listening to this, go to Investment Joy on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
Thanks.
Go watch what he's doing, picking up this cash, and
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
I
funny.
wish it's so funny because I'm at a point now with all these cash businesses. My cash reserves are more than I show on YouTube because I have business partners calling me like, you need to tone it down. Because I'm like, really? Because I got stacks of cash, like sometimes 3 foot thick of bills. Like, I fill like up a shoebox after a week of cash. And I'm like, this would be really good viral content. And they're like, Brandon, I've literally had this said to me like,
you're about to get robbed.
No, it's like, Brandon, someone's going to beat me over the head with a lead pipe. And
Yeah.
like, I'm going to leave a family behind. And I'm like, okay, don't guilt trip me on this. I'm like, okay, we'll do the smaller stacks with the vending machines.
Yeah.
That's why I really like the vending machine content because it's like $150 in bills.
Yeah.
And it's not like the $3,500 or $5,000 in bills on the other stuff that I'm doing, like the laundromats, car washes combined, all the stuff.
Super funny,
yeah,
dude.
it's funny.
Well, cool, man. Well, it's fun meeting you guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and maybe you guys will start doing a side hustle and some of these other things.
Yeah, go for it.
Yep. All right. Take care.
Thanks for watching The Ryan Pineda Show. If you want to work with me, head over to ryanpineda.com. You can find my courses, coaching programs, and upcoming events. We also have free resources you can download, so head over to ryanpineda.com.